My dog CL back on the G perspective, baby. How you feeling, doggy?
Good, brother. Always. How's it going with you?
Good, man. Living life, working
Yeah.
hard. You already know what it is. I know you're doing the same thing. Always doing something each and every day.
Yeah. I don't know how hard I'm working, but I am doing something.
This guy makes music. He writes. He writes his own script. He writes his own books. This guy is everywhere. All entertainment industry. This guy,
Trying, bro. All it takes is one, and then we'll be doing this from school center.
That one viral video, that one viral script, that one viral take. You never know.
Yeah, see what happens. Yeah, I like it. Good hope. Good way to start the podcast here.
Yes, sir. Guys, welcome back to another episode. I am George Michael Perez, GMike. You already know. Before we get started, please follow me on my socials: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at GMike Media _. The audio version of this podcast is available on all podcast platforms. So if you'd like to listen to it instead of watch it on YouTube, that's cool too. But you can find us on YouTube. Just want to make fun of our face and how we look. You feel me? But we'll just jump right into it, man, because, man, the NBA finals are done. And honestly, man, I hate it, dog. You know, I can't root for the Knicks, dog. I can never root for the Knicks, man. It's always a rivalry there, man. But well deserved because they played very well throughout the whole NBA playoffs. The New York Knicks are finally NBA champions once again after a 53-year drought. Crazy 53 years. But Jalen Brunson took the throne on that. He got the MVP, Finals MVP. He closed out the game with 45 points, put the team on his back. Started going crazy for the New York Knicks, and the San Antonio Spurs dropped the ball on each and every game. But before we get onto the whole series and going into the postseason and what's going to happen and all that, I want to get your analytical take on Game 5. What do you think happened with the New York Knicks and how they won this game and how the Spurs dropped the ball in this game?
I think it's the same thing that happened every single game that they lost. San Antonio had a double-digit lead every single game that they played in and blew it every single time. I know they weren't up by 29 again or anything like that, but at the end of the day, the Knicks were just able to take punches, and just keep going, just do enough to stay in the game and close them on the fourth. The inexperience was just way too much for San Antonio compared to New York. The Knicks have been near here, not the finals, but near here, Eastern Conference Finals, stuff like that, for a few years now. They're just kind of begging, knocking at the door. I know they didn't play Detroit. I know they didn't play Boston. But either way, they've had so much experience, and they have a lot of dogs on the team. Bridges, each of these guys, even if they're giving you one game, Bridges had the one game, OG, stuff like that. And, looking at this particular game, as you referenced, it was just the same story over again. Wait for Fox to make mistakes. Castle started to do his, disappearing act. Wemby, they kind of started. I think one of the biggest issues, even though Dylan Harper stepped up really big, and that's going to be a bright spot in the future for them, is their indecision on how they wanted to handle Wemby offensively. If you look at the Thunder series, and even previous to that, Minnesota, whoever, in the regular season, they weren't just handing him the ball at the elbow every single possession and expecting him to go downhill or sending him, to hit a fadeaway or a jump shot. They always wanted to use him as a point guard in this series here late in games where they're just giving the ball way too high, spreading out way too much for him. There was no okay, I know he's the center, it's a big dude. You're not essentially going to set a bunch of picks for him, but there was no real play design to get him involved in some confident spots. He was always in a situation where he's hitting, near 3-point line, mid-range shots, and not able to body down anybody because, he's not really a big dude in general, but that's not his style of play. They started treating him like a Kevin Durant instead of treating him the way he's always been treated for the entirety of the series for quarters 1 through 3. They kept going to him as the only option way too late, and I didn't really like that. And then when they decided to go back to Fox, he was starting on the elbow, he dribbled drive, he had to take a fadeaway. He was just not clutch throughout the entire series for the most part, minus the one game where he hit the late shot. It was just I don't want to just blame the coach, but I think he also was very inexperienced in the finals there. Mitch just didn't do a good job of getting the rotation late in the middle of a Knicks run. Every single time the Knicks would go on a little 9-0 run, 8-0 run, a little spark, there was no timeouts. He didn't know what to do. He made no adjustments. They just kept saying, okay, we're going to isolate in the shot clock with Wemby. We're going to isolate in the shot clock with Castle or Fox, and Dylan Harper at times. But I love the roster. I like what they have going on. I just don't think they have a true identity on how they want to approach close games. They do well when they're ahead because they're a good defensive team typically, but against the Knicks, where they're experienced, they're dogs, they stay calm. It was the complete opposite for San Antonio. So they just folded over and over again. And it's ridiculous to see how many times they would late close out on Brunson, how they would late help on Hart or on OG. And it's just the same mistakes every loss. They never learned from it. They never applied anything. They just kept repeating it. So just a little messy there. They just looked inexperienced all throughout.
That was the number one thing for me. It was the inexperience, which is why the whole series they were winning first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, 1 through 3 every single game. When it came to the fourth quarter, it was like they forgot how to play basketball. They forgot how to do the fundamentals. They forgot how to use their IQ. Their IQ went from high to low in a matter of 5 seconds, switching from quarter to quarter. It was ridiculous. It was tough to see for real. But in this game 5, the Knicks weren't even playing good. OG wasn't playing the way that he was playing in the beginning of the series. There was a point that a lot of people were saying, yo, OG should be finals MVP. But obviously, Brunson was still doing his thing. Brunson's always going to do his thing. But in this particular game, he had to take over because Cat wasn't showing up. Miles Bridges, he did all right. He shot 50% from the field and he had 13 points, but it wasn't enough to really help him out to try to get more points, put it on the board. So Brunson had to do it himself. OG wasn't there. 45 points in a closeout game where obviously, like I said, we've seen Brunson do this from time to time. Fourth quarter is his time to shine. It's his moment, and he loves it. He doesn't shy away from it. Where on the other side, it looks like De'Aaron Fox shied away from the whole series complete. Like the lights were too big for him, and he couldn't get his stuff going. He tried to get that pull up to the left side, pull up, try to get something in the free throw line. Nothing. It wasn't doing nothing for him. And then Wemby, he tries to play too much like a guard for me, man. It's like get down low, get the ball, put your back to the basket, and try to make some layups or dunks on top of people, bro. Get some fouls going for yourself. But it didn't really look like he could do it. I was gonna ask you because you brought it up. You like their roster. I'm gonna just touch up on the Spurs for right now. We'll get into the Knicks later. But do you think that they should make any changes at all, or do you think that they should just run it back with what they have?
I think they can run it back with what they have because I think this would be a great learning experience for them, and they can only get better. All their star players are 24 or younger. All their best players are kind of locked in on young contracts, so they're in a good spot. If you're going to move on anywhere, you move Fox so that you can have Harper kind of be that new, he's going to be the guard kind of person. You bring in another veteran if you have to. But I also think the problem is that De'Aaron Fox represents when he's playing well, they're amazing. They're unstoppable essentially. But he just didn't show up in the finals. He didn't show up in all the big moments. Like I said, minus the one game where he did, I don't want to say put him on his back, but he kind of put him on the back and hit the late dagger to clinch the game in New York. But too little, too late for the most part. And I don't know if I could trust him to step up next year or
Yeah.
going forward and grow from it. I don't really see it. And I love De'Aaron Fox overall till this kind of big question mark for me. So I don't know what they do to replace him because position wise, they still need another guard if they're going to go away from him. Because I like Dylan Harper. He could be the starter. He can do that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, he is super streaky. And we have already seen that Stephon Castle cannot be the other point guard on this team. Turns the ball over way too much. It's just not his role. It's kind of like the Marcus Smart thing in Boston. He's a great play creator, but he's not a great ball handler. So it's a weird spot for him. I don't know who they bring in. Maybe a Marcus Smart, somebody like that. But regardless, if you're going to move on from Fox, you have to replace him with the same position. So if they didn't and they decide to roll with him again, I can understand it. But that's really the only spot on this entirety of the roster that I would really look to go elsewhere. The only other major thing would be, and you could get this accomplished with little to no money, is to bring in another big, pure center, not for offense or anything like that. But when Wemby's in foul trouble early, or when he's not getting to the line, and then you have to pull him out because he's tired and all that kind of thing. Because he did show a little fatigue. you got to want somebody in there who can absorb fouls, that can just be a physical presence in the paint. I don't need it to be a superstar. I'm not saying they got to go get Walker Kessler or somebody, because he's having his little issues, or Bam. Just anybody who can step in when Wemby's tired, spell him defensively, keep the lead, do what they have to do there, and then bring your star back in. But I do still like the roster overall.
I do agree with that last statement though of like bringing in a big man to help out Wemby because I feel like that is awesome, dude. I think that is perfect. That what he would need someone alongside because just like when Luka Doncic got drafted, right? He was supposed to be a forward, where he was supposed to be with the Dallas Mavericks. They wanted him to play forward, but he was like, "Nah, doggy, I'm a point guard. Like I've been playing point guard for so long. You're not gonna take that position away from me. Like I like to handle the ball. I like to create for my teammates. I like to dictate how the game's gonna go. Right? With Wemby, it looks like he likes to play more like a guard than he does a big. On the defensive side, I think it's completely different. I think he loves to rim protect. I think that's like his favorite thing to do. That's why he's trying to get so many blocks when someone comes into the paint. Anytime someone comes into the paint, he's probably in his mind like, yeah, you guys fear me. That's why you back up or you don't shoot or you don't go for a layup or whatever. I think he likes it on that side. But when it comes to the offensive side, I think he likes to play like a guard. Like, give me the ball. I'm going to try to shimmy this guy. I'm going to try to shoot over him at the three-point line. I'm going to try to do a little step back. It's not like he's going down, like we were talking about, going down to the post and trying to work on the block. He's not really doing that. So if he's not going to be doing that and he likes to play like a guard, bring in a big man that's going to help him out, like a Hartenstein, like someone who's going to be there that's going to grab rebounds, play physical defense when he needs to. If Wemby wants to go out and play in the perimeter or needs to go out and play in the perimeter. And, I think it'll be like a good Twin Tower type situation for sure. To touch up on the Aaron Fox situation, I'm kind of on the fence about it because I understand what you're saying in like who you're really gonna bring in that's gonna help out Dylan Harper. If you're gonna, I think for sure what needs to happen, Dylan Harper needs to be either a starter or he needs to get way more minutes for sure. I think that's what needs to happen. But with Fox, it's like, are you gonna trust him again? Because I think they'll get to the situation of either the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals again. I think they would be in that talk of for the next 2-3 years, right? Even if exactly. So, are you gonna trust him enough to try to lead? Because essentially he's the oldest guy there. Try to lead them to the promised land again, and then this time, revamp yourself and try to show people that I could really do it on the biggest stage that there is on earth. Or you go a different route and you have Dylan Harper starting and you bring in another guard, a younger guard, or another guard that can, just come in and fill in the space and get you some good minutes on defense, get you some good minutes playmaking when he needs to, or some good scoring. But you got to figure out which one. And in my eyes, bro, I think you got to go with what the opposing coach Mike Brown was saying, man, that De'Aaron Fox just doesn't have that dog in him, man. And you just got to let that leash go, cut that leash, and try it somewhere else because you saw it throughout the NBA playoffs. There was games that he was doing good, but on the biggest stage and where you guys expect yourself to be once again, are you gonna trust him enough for that? I don't know, man. It's tough.
Yeah, I hear you. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what they replace him with, but I currently do not trust him. And even a year from now, I don't know. Because this was very uncharacteristic what you've seen of him. Saw him in Sacramento, what he was doing there. He seemed like a true leader there. Until the injury, I know they blew that series too. But like till the injury, he seemed like, oh wow, Fox is becoming what we could have hoped he could have been. Yeah. And then obviously he goes to San Antonio, and I'm like, oh, now he's capable of doing way more. He's gonna have to do way less. He's gonna excel here. And then he's doing it. And then that was just such a bad look. It's tough. It's like the Halliburton thing in opposite. You went from I don't really trust that guy to whoa, like Halliburton, like and on the biggest stage he's showing up. Now you have to respect. I don't care what questions you have to respect. And Fox, regular season showing up, and then it's like on a big stage he's flopping. Like
another James Harden situation.
Oh, the James Harden. I know. It's tough, man.
The other person I wanted to ask you about before we move on to the Knicks, Keldon Johnson, 6th man of the year, and he did decent throughout the playoffs, but now in the NBA Finals, just like De'Aaron Fox, he only scored 15 points in 5 games. What do you do with that situation? Do you trust him, or do you move on from him and try to bring in another scoring guard or forward?
I run him back because I think he's a lot of value defensively and just energy in general. They didn't give him a ton of minutes or opportunities the way they were using him in OKC or even in the regular season. So it's not as though he just went out there and failed. And he's not a guy that you run your offense through either. So yeah, his points per game were down, stuff like that. But I don't think he's a give me the ball kind of player in the first place. So yeah, while his production was down, I think his opportunity was down. And I also think like if you see some of the games where he did hit some late shots, maybe not late, but like fourth quarter shots, he was hyped, his energy was still there. He didn't look like he lacked confidence, which I was good with. Now, granted, he didn't play great, but I think that was more a system of what New York was doing to this team rather than him just not being valuable. I think if he is capable of a 10, I'm not saying he is, but if his version of a 10 and he gave you a 7 there, I think he still looked like he could give you an 8 or a 9. Whereas Darren Fox looked like he was done. Like he wanted nothing to do with it. He was giving you a 4. His best would have been a 6. Like there was a lot of things there that linger based on so much potential with the ball in his hands. Whereas Keldon Johnson's kind of a 3-and-D guy, hits an elbow 3, gets you a lot of energy, gets a couple slashing buckets. He's like an underdeveloped Aaron Gordon before he went to Denver. Like he's a key piece of this team, but he's not somebody you hand the ball to even as you bench everybody else and let that 6-man roll. He's not Ginobili, right? So I think you could run him back relatively cheap. I don't know what you're going to do 2 years from now when you have him, Champagne, and Vassell. A couple of these guys are probably going to be gone just naturally. Somebody else going to pick them up. But for now, I'd run him back. I don't know how you feel about it.
I think that they should take their chances on trying to shop him around and try to find someone else that can give you some more consistent scoring. And I hear you on the defense for sure. He does have that. And he does have that energy, and I think he's a glue piece guy of that team. I think he brings the camaraderie together, which you really need in a squad. You need that cohesive unit, but at this point, you need someone that he's going to be able to score consistently off the bench as well. Because now you have Dylan Harper for sure, but if Keldon would have been able to give you 10 to 12 points in each of these games, maybe the outcome of these games are different. Now, of course, I think the inexperience speaks for itself. I think it was just bad overall. You got CL, he got some technical difficulties. He got out of here. Don't worry, he'll be back. But I think if there's no way that you can only score 15 points in an NBA Finals on the biggest stage, and then next thing you know, when you come and bring you back, it's like, yo, are you gonna show up for us again? So it's like the whole thing with De'Aaron Fox for me. And I know you clipped out and it came back, but I was just saying the same thing, that it's kind of like the same situation as De'Aaron Fox. Do we trust you enough that you're gonna improve next season? Or are you gonna be the same guy and now we gotta take this bullet to the chest and hold on to it going into the Western Conference playoffs or Western Conference Finals, maybe even the NBA Finals? And next thing you know, we face a hard New York Knicks team or Boston Celtics or any type of East team that comes around, and it's like, are we going to be able to trust
Yeah, I hear that. I think my only thing with him is you don't need a 10 from him. You can, and you have a couple of years that you can play around with him. It's almost like, why not wait till that last year when you have that viral, valuable, like you got 1 year left on your contract, it's expiring, trade him then. Some other contender will take him, trade him over to the East, whatever. You don't leave him in the West, obviously. But I get what you're saying, because if you shop him now, who knows what you can get in place for him. I just think taking him out and replacing him with someone else could really alter kind of the approach of this team overall. Because what are you going to add in? Are you going to maybe get an offensive guy? Maybe you need a ball handler. Maybe you got to, I'm not saying it's Julius Randle or something like that, but maybe you get someone like that kind of needs a lot of dribbles. And it will change the dynamic of the team. And if you're going to go for somebody who's not one of those guys that changes the dynamic of the team. Essentially, what you're saying is you can go for the same type of player and hope that he shows up better late in the in a big game. But there's not a lot of guys that are proven like that you can swap out. Honestly, if the Knicks hadn't gone as far, I think the kind of guy you could go for is like OG. That would have been the trade. Knicks get eliminated in the previous round or something like that, and they need something. You trade for an OG because at that point, you take away this finals, you take away his Eastern finals. He's just a guy who's doing pretty well for them, and he plays good defense and hits shots, but he's a little injury prone. He's getting a little older compared to Keldon Johnson. And you can make that swap and you'll still have a defensive 3-and-D guy, you'll have a high energy guy, you have a slasher. You'll kind of get the same thing, but you'll get someone that's more veteran presence, and that would have helped them as well as kept the money for the Knicks and kept them younger. So I think that would have been somebody that would have been a good trade option. But now that the Knicks have made it and won with him, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's off the table for sure. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the Spurs. I mean, I still believe that they can be in contention for the NBA Finals for the next 5 years, I would say, because their young core, they're exactly that. They're young. Wemby, 22, Castle, 21, Dylan Harper, 20. It's like, and De'Aaron Fox is not even 30 years old yet. I know the type of performance that he had wasn't good. It wasn't even close to average. It was bad. But if you're gonna keep him around, he's still a young guy too that can develop. So there's still like potential there to be seen. So
they're a great spot.
Yeah, they are, and obviously, OKC is gonna be the number one rival, for the next 5 years. So they're gonna have to compete with them. And last year, that Western Conference Finals, they didn't have J Dub, but if they did, maybe things would have gone a different way. Who knows? So they gotta make sure that if they keep the same players, those players need to improve dramatically. Because mentally, physically, and athletically, because I know that they're
emotionally.
Yeah, right. I know they're very athletic, but dude, OKC is gonna come back with a vengeance, bro.
Oh yeah, I mean they barely lost as is.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get to the other side. Let's get to the NBA champs. So yeah, they won, but now they're going into the postseason, and there's sometimes that some NBA champs or some champs in general in any sport, they either tune up their squad and they let some people go because they don't want to assign them or because of the money and all this stuff, or they bring everybody back like your Boston Celtics did that one year, and they get everyone together and try to run it back. At this point, do you think the Knicks should do the run it back, or they should try to make some improvements?
I would say run it back for the most part. If you look at the guys that are free agents for them, Mitchell Robinson, Sochan, that's not even, who cares there. Hart, I think, has a option. So for the most part, the guys, their core guys are still around. And they're good. And they're not overly old or anything. They're in a good spot. I'm not saying they're like a 5-year window kind of thing, but they're fine for the next few years.
Yeah.
I think Mitchell Robinson's the guy that you might move on from. Not that he does have that motor. He has that Nick thing going on, but at the same time, he's injury prone. He does get into foul trouble, so on and so forth. He's not really an offensive guy. I think that's the opportunity to replace somebody there. I don't know who they go for. I don't know if they want to try to spend and just a little near that apron and go for someone like Walker Kessler or somebody who can give them another dynamic scoring late in games, because you're not going to get that from Mitchell Robinson there. And obviously Cat's fine as well, but he's another guy who gets in foul trouble. So, and doesn't always show up in the fourth quarter. So, and I'm not knocking him, he's a good player. But in general, like we talked about, that's the spot that I think they need to develop. I think the rest of the guys that they have, Bridges, whoever, Brunson, obviously, like just roll back with that. I think they're good. They've shown that they can show up in the big moments. They work continuity wise. They're not whiners or complainers about getting more shots. Jordan Clarkson will be gone, obviously, because he's a free agent as well. Alvarado, I think, has an option as well. I think they're fine. I would explore the Mitchell Robinson replacement and just get someone. Obviously, you mentioned Hartenstein. I love Hartenstein, so anyone of that nature would be great because they're high motor and they're also one of those do the job kind of players. Not too sure of who's available in that light, but if anyone to swap out, it would just be probably Mitch.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely you're gonna keep the core together. You're not gonna break that up. Not even the New York fans are gonna want that. They're gonna want their guys to come back and run it back for sure. But I think the bench has to get significantly better because they have been running with the starting five and doing everything with the starting five all season throughout the playoffs and now in the NBA finals, and it worked. But now teams are gonna adjust. Teams are gonna get better. Teams are going to figure out exactly what you're doing and how to play defense on Brunson, how to play defense on Cat, how to play defense on OG now after him putting himself on that big stage and showing out. It's going to be different, and I don't think that you go with a team that only your starting five is putting up 10 or more points. You need at least one or two guys off the bench that are going to help out. Maybe not 10 plus each of those two guys, but one of them and then the other like 7, 6, whatever. But you go for a guy like Karis LeVert. I think that would be a good addition for them. Like, you try to come off the bench, give you a good 10 to 12 points. But Landry Shamet, Jordan Clarkson, Miles McBride, I don't think is going to really cut it, man. Yeah, they had some sparks throughout the playoffs, and even Landry Shamet had that game one that he had like 3 or 4 made threes, and Miles McBride had like two.
He's a free agent too, though.
Yeah, he's
Actually.
a free agent too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's going to cut it with those guys. I think that they got to improve their bench a little bit more. I do agree with you. I think they're going to move on from Mitchell Robinson, even though he's been there since they only won like what 16, 17 games one season.
Yeah, they claim they want to keep him. That they're gonna. I think Windhorse or someone said that he's gonna be a priority, and they're gonna make sure they get him. But re-signing him is gonna probably put you to that other apron. And I don't know. I mean, you just won a championship. Maybe that doesn't matter, right? But I mean, who knows? It's not like we said. It's not a super young team. You can go after Luke Kennard, Bones Highland, someone like that. Maybe even Bones better because he kind of fits that that little ethnic vibe they have where they're just tough and hard. They're going, that street core. But I mean, I agree. The bench is a little thin, and I'm not saying they couldn't just go through a whole nother series with somebody else and have all these miracles and stuff that they have going. But it definitely felt more magical than it did fundamental. I mean, Spurs led for 72% of the series. They led in every single game by double digits. For all purposes, they outplayed the Knicks, and it didn't matter. I don't know if the Knicks can continue to get away with that when they have to go through Giannis in Boston. I don't know. And who knows?
I hope not.
And Detroit coming back a little better. Maybe they go out to Luke Kennard. Bring him back.
Goes to Cleveland.
LeBron goes to Cleveland. Yeah, exactly. Now you suddenly have some real threats here instead of Atlanta, who just happened to put it together at the last second. Banged up teams, but Cleveland without LeBron. So I hear you. I think they leaned way too much. As much as Thibodeau got crap for only playing 6 guys, this is essentially how many guys contributed anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mike Brown did the same thing. Obviously, he put in guys there when he needed to get the guys rest, but did they really contribute when it came to scoring? Other aspects of the game for sure, and that's very important as well. If you're a basketball player, you know that. But when it comes to the point of the game is putting the ball in the basket, are they really contributing?
Really. Yeah, there's a lot of miracle shots in that Knicks run in general.
Definitely.
Miracle shots. Definitely. Like, I'm like, oh my, you got to be kidding me. Like the stuff that was going in was nonsense.
Insane.
So
Insane. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, man, shout out to them. 53-year drought. Again, it's always after the Knicks, but well deserved. They played like the best team all season. They won the NBA Cup, NBA Finals, NBA champs, and they got the Finals MVP, Jalen Brunson. Where a lot of people said that guard cannot 6'1", a 6'2" under guard cannot be the 1A for an NBA team and take it to the promised land and win an NBA championship.
Yeah, I guess so, right? And a lot of teams have come close with that. I hear you. I agree. That's typically the trend, but not anymore.
Not anymore.
They're the Cubs. They won their thing. I don't want to ever see it happen again.
Right. That's it. Take it away from them. Take it away.
Done.
All right, man. Well, it's been very exciting in the past week with these NBA finals and the NBA championship going on. But the other thing is the World Cup, baby. This year, the World Cup is in the North America, baby. North America. Mexico is got in the U.S. in Toronto and Canada. First game for the USA was played in L.A. where we spanked Paraguay 4-1. But there's been a lot of dope games that has been going on since Thursday night. I think it was Thursday, right? It started
That
Thursday.
was Friday night. Well, I mean, it started Thursday, but that was
Yeah, it
Friday.
started Thursday. Yeah, the game was
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, USA looked good in that first game. I know we'll get into that and how that turns out to be. Germany looked great too. They won 7-1 yesterday.
Yeah.
Insane
I mean, they were playing
scores.
against me, you, and a couple friends.
Yeah, right. I thought it was a baseball game. 7-1. What the hell is going on? Spain this morning, this early afternoon, they tied against Copa Verde, where a lot of people have Spain winning the whole tournament, and today they just looked like they couldn't get anything going. They had like about 15 shots, like two on target. It was crazy. It was crazy.
I'll get into that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but the World Cup is happening, man. It's very exciting stuff, man. It's awesome for it to be back, and especially in the homeland, it'll be dope to go to a game. But those ticket prices are out of this world.
yeah. They're double the Knicks game.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. But just to get started off, we'll talk about the USA first. How'd you like them in their debut for 2026 against Paraguay?
I love them. And they were expected to win, essentially, but they were expected to win off of what we always thought they could be. Not really so much off what they've given us since this roster's been put together. If you ever really watch soccer, not you, but people in general, this US team is the best potential team we've ever had. And I say that based on the experience level, based on what they
Yes,
do
sir.
individually. Yeah, during the regular seasons. And, it used to be Landon Donovan was like the greatest American player ever, and he was, and I'm not taking away from him. But he couldn't really make it on Bayern Munich when he tried to go overseas and play. And I'm not saying he just had no talent and that everyone on the roster was just better than him. But system-wise, they just didn't even find a place for him. And I know they didn't truly want him there, but still, there's a whole thing with that. Either way, now every single player on the roster is starting AC Milan and Barcelona and Ajax and other big clubs across the entire planet. It's not like they're playing only in MLS. No offense to MLS, it's way better than it used to be. But obviously, European soccer is at another level right now and has been, even though they got smaller, but still not even close. So this team should have been much better. You got a great coach with a lot of experience. Chelsea, other Tottenham, other good teams there. So we should be doing what we just did. Balogun is amazing. I'm so glad he was magically born in New York on vacation so that we can have him on the team because he already has 2 goals when the record for World Cup American goals is 5. Now that's a whole other thing. But either way, I think this team is, I mean, I'm not going to jump the gun here, but we have looked better than any other team. Obviously, Germany has looked great, but look who they were playing. I think we have looked potentially as high as we could be. We'll see what happens against Australia on Friday afternoon game, which kind of sucks, 3 o'clock. But either way, I still love what USA has. And if they don't flop against Australia and they just come out, and I'm not saying they have to win 4-1 or anything like that, just go out there, handle business, get the job done. Don't scare us and have a heart attack the entire game where we're, constantly questioning whether we're good or not. I think we're fine. I think we're in a good position. I think we're finally clicking. I don't know why we're finally clicking in comparison to all the friendlies because we just ended the friendlies poorly as well. Granted, competition is going to change. It's going to get better. I'm not saying Australia is better than Paraguay, but beyond that, knockout round wise, if that's where we end up being, which I think we will, it's just going to, there's going to be great teams in front of us. And will we show up against those teams or are we going to be the Spurs? So I guess we'll see. But I love what we have right now and I'm very hyped for it. So just keep rolling.
Yeah, man. Just to talk about the game against Paraguay, the way that I saw how the game went down, and I don't have a lot of soccer knowledge. I don't really watch it as often as I do football, basketball, baseball, UFC, whatever. But the way that I saw that the game was going, we were playing very gritty. We were hustling to the ball at all times. We were playing very together, passing when we needed to pass, attacking when we needed to attack. And even on the defensive side, we were making sure that they were not getting even close to the other goal, and sometimes not even passing that the half field mark. It's like it was insane to watch. It was awesome to watch. The fact that we went up 3-0 going into halftime was freaking amazing. But just wanted to ask you: do you think that we're that good, or Paraguay was just that sorry?
I would say 70-30 that we were that good. Because realistically, if we looked the way we looked all throughout the friendlies, this would have been a 1-1 game. We wouldn't have had that possession as heavily as you mentioned. We wouldn't have had the disparity of shots on goal. We wouldn't have been as explosive on offense as we have been. Remember that back then we had the huge issue with Christian Pulisic, the playing time, the whole thing with the coach, that whole situation, roster stuff. Sergio, there was various roster issues in terms of who's going to play, who might not actually get time come World Cup time. That was handled during this process of kind of figuring out what the lineup would look like. So now that we're kind of settled in and we have all our people together, we clicked in a way that's what we should have looked like all that time. So I don't think it's just magically we played a bad team and now we're suddenly looking good. Clearly, we played a team that's not as good as Germany or Spain or any of those teams. But at the same time, that's the same type of team that we were just getting destroyed by or look confused by and stuff like that. And they're not all, just ridiculous. This is not like some scrub team, Paraguay. I'm not saying they're a top contender, but they're not far removed from what United States has shown us recently. So I do think we are clicking at the right time. And that what we showed is the potential that we should have already showed, despite, I'm not saying against anybody, but against mid-tier talent. And we finally actually showed out and did that. So I think it's more us than it was them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much to say on Paraguay because I've never really seen them on full attack mode. I haven't seen their games or anything like that. I've seen several of USA's international friendlies. So, I could attest to the fact that we do look better than what we have been showing in the near recent times. But Paraguay, I can't really attest much to that. But the way that we looked in that game was freaking phenomenal, and I'm excited for what's going to come against Australia on Friday to see if we actually, we put up or shut up. It's either are we going to show that we are one of these top teams, that we have these amazing talent compared to the past World Cups that don't look as good, while now we look freaking amazing after the first game. But can it keep rolling? Can we keep doing?
Yeah, Australia is going to be interesting because Paraguay has, Gomez on defense and Almiron on offense and stuff like that. They have talent, right? Australia's they look good defensively. So it'll be interesting because it's a different approach. I think the high points of what Paraguay could have been is the offensive side, where I think the high points on Australia has looked like the defense so far. So it'll be interesting to see if that reverse kind of opposition is going to highlight what we're not good at, or if we're just going to roll through them again. We should beat them. It shouldn't even be a thing. But I think the only reason that we're even talking about it is because we haven't lived up to our potential. And we'll see if it was a fluke. And like you said, maybe it was just a nice hot mode, and Pulisic and Balogun are just going to work well together, and everything's going to roll. And maybe it was just mainly Paraguay, or are we for real? I'm not saying we're going to win it all, but we're home.
Hey,
now, hell, hey, if not now, then when?
Hey,
hey,
miracles, baby, miracles.
We just saw the Knicks do it.
Yeah, right. 53 years. What?
Never.
I wanted to ask you. So with your analytical prediction, we'll leave the biases out of the way. But with your analytical prediction, who do you think takes the trophy?
All together. I think I know the power rankings have Spain as one, and before the game, obviously. I think France is still the best team. I think they're the best combination of veterans and youth. Spain, to me, it's the same old Spain. And I love Lamine Yamal, probably one of my favorite players in the world, Barcelona star, big Barcelona fan. I've been for freaking 30 years. But either way, I just don't think that team, they're just a little too finesse for me. They always have been a little too finesse for me. And there were times that they had, a complete roster that was anchored by a lot of Barcelona and Real Madrid players. That's no longer really the case right now. And I'm not saying they have a bad roster. They're clearly projected as number one, so they have the team to do it. I just think this team is a little too roller coastery. What I mean by that is one day they're going to beat somebody 5-1, and you're going to go, oh, man, like, nobody can beat Spain. And then they're going to go out and they're going to drop a dud like they just did, right? And it's just they don't, like I think they're the team out of all the top 10 teams, Brazil being another one, that can get flustered in their game by just teams being purely athletic and purely just New York Knicks-like. If any team is the Spurs of this, it is Spain. They're a team that on paper they're great. When you see them rolling, they're great. During the game, they're going to have moments that you go, "Ooh, that was nice." But you can punk them, and you've always been able to punk Spain. And that's, I don't know why that is. I know a lot of their players play in La Liga and a finesse league. They don't have a lot of prem guys and stuff like that. But regardless of what it is, I see that they're going to go through. They'll make it to knockout stage, whatever. But like, I can see them just getting bumped off out of nowhere, and I'm going to roll with that. I think France is the team that has the most balance to get the job done. Obviously, Argentina, Messi, blah, blah, but they've already kind of had their huge moment recently.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're not capable of doing it again, but a lot of their best players were aging at that time. Now it's kind of the same case. And yes, they brought in a lot of new guys, but a lot of those new guys are inexperienced. So we're going to have to see in this level, they're inexperienced. So we're going to see if that's going to be something to do. I will say, if you really need a team, I'd go all in on France. Teams like Belgium and these next 5 through 10 kind of teams, they have talent, but we don't know what they're going to look like in terms of who's getting hot. There's always going to be a team that just gets hot, and that's talking about Ivory Coast or one of these teams that's like, we know they're getting hot, but it's irrelevant. They're going to get out talented at some point, kind of like a March Madness bracket. We're going to need somebody else 5 through 10 to really get hot to displace France. But as of now, France should be, to me, the go-to pick, and then USA. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah, like I said earlier, I don't have a lot of football knowledge, and I don't really have much to say on it. But from what I've seen, because I've been watching from start till literally today, right now, I have the Iran and New Zealand game on. By the way, it's tied at halftime.
Yeah.
So from what I've seen from the start till now, and I know France plays tomorrow, and I've seen France in the past, like the last World Cup. I've seen it some international friendlies because I like Mbappe a lot. He's like one of my favorite players, so I've watched them from time to time compared to the USA as well. And I know what they're capable of.
You mean Mbappe? No, I'm just kidding.
I know what they're capable of. I know what they're capable of. So I know that they can get the job done for sure. But what I saw from Germany yesterday, and yes, they were playing a sorry team, but the way that they took advantage of that and took control of that game, the way that they were passing, the speed, the intelligence, the attacking, the defending, everything overall on the field, to the coaching, to the substitutions that came in early for them. Like, they looked like they were clicking on all cylinders. And if you really put pen to paper, like what you're talking about with Spain, they should have done that today, but they didn't. They didn't take advantage of that. And I'll give props to Cape Verde because I saw their defense, and bro, their defense was top notch. I'm not gonna lie, but their offensive attack was horrible. It was like I was out there trying to.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's one of those teams that they're not gonna go anywhere because they can't.
Yeah. But they were playing defense very well. They weren't letting Spain get into the box at all. Everything was happening from the outside, and then they'll get a couple times, some shots inside. But the shots were so off because they were playing such good defense that it was hard for them to get shots on target. And I feel like Germany took advantage of that with the team that they played against. Like, they're like, yo, we're not going to play with our food. We're not going to play with our lunch money. We're going to go out there and dominate and show the world that we're ready. We're next up to try to win. But honestly, I don't like sports being rigged. But I think it'll be rigged for the U.S. this time, baby, at the homeland. We in there, baby. Let's go.
Hey, I mean, I'm good with it. I'm not even gonna question it. People are gonna ask me, "Oh, you think it was rigged?" No, man. It was authentic. I don't know how that ladder got there. All right. There's a special rule that you can play with 16 people. No, yeah. I mean, honestly, clearly Germany is a true contender. Along with, I think realistically, you got France, and then no real order. France, Argentina, and England. I think they Argentina probably third in that just because of the age. I think those teams have the full package to deliver against any style that plays against them. Whereas the teams that are in the same talent level but can kind of get thrown off their game at times is not yet with Germany because we'll see because they have made some changes too. But essentially Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Brazil, Spain. So that's kind of, and I'm not saying everyone will agree with that, but I feel I've done pretty well with World Cup picks in general. I'm not a big Portugal, Morocco person. They're going to be fun, and I want to see Morocco do well. But I think those two teams just lack the depth that they need to get beyond the other teams I was referring to. But now, obviously, knockout round, one game, you just never know. They have the talent, but I have them a tier below that. So it'll be interesting. I just want to see. I think right now in this moment, USA has kind of crept up into that Morocco, Portugal space. Now, granted, Portugal's still above them. It's not even, it's obvious. But for now, we have the talent to compete there. It's just a lot of, inexperience compared to what they have going on just historically. But, hey, like you said, so far so good. So far so good for Germany. USA beats Australia 3-1 or something. I'm gonna start. It's time to buy some more shirts.
Believe me.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I wanted to move on to another topic, but with time, I'm not gonna be able to. So I'm gonna just ask you one more question about the World Cup because I saw this video and it was like very interesting to me because I did not know this, but a lot of the star players in this World Cup is going to be their last World Cup. Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Neymar, freaking what's this guy from Spain? I think it was Torres.
And it's funny about Neymar. He barely even made the team.
Yeah, he barely even made the team. Facts. He
Yeah,
barely
he's gonna wait till the last second.
Yeah, bro. I just saw a laundry list of players throughout this whole World Cup tournament that it's gonna be their last World Cup. So I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about a whole era about to end at the end of the summer?
Yeah, man, it is interesting. Like Luka Modric, Manuel Noir, like these are other guys that have like kind of been around forever for me in watching soccer. Not even just World Cup wise, but just regular life. And I know Messi, he's still here in America, and that's cool. But like World Cup wise, honestly I didn't think he was going to come back for this World Cup because he said that right after the last World Cup, and obviously he got pulled into the emotions of it. He's going to do it. He's not going to say no. But regardless, it's interesting. But what I do like about it is, when you watch the NBA, coming off that conversation, you got Jordan, right? Who's gonna be the next guy? You got that little gap, and obviously Kobe. You have other big players, but they're the guy that everyone is like all in on as the guy. Then you get LeBron, right? He's the next big guy. Now it's kind of like, is it going to be Wemby? Well, this little flopperoni he just put out, we don't know, but probably still, right? Who knows? In soccer, though, all these big guys are all leaving at once. You have a lot of enough talent to replace them in a way that the overlap has already been there, that I'm not going to say you're not going to miss them because they're, talent aside, they're just big stars and they're big names and there's a lot of household connection to them. But talent-wise, I'm not going to say we're not going to miss them because they're obviously, these are some of the best players of all time. But we do have the talent in place that when you go back after these careers and you look like, how many championships did they win? How many blah, blah, blah did they win? It's going to be right there. It's going to be neck and neck. I'm not saying that automatically makes them just as good players. Yeah. It is sad. I am going to miss these guys because a huge draw for Argentina is obviously Messi. I can care less about Portugal because I'm the Messi guy and I don't really care for Ronaldo. But when I'm watching the game, I'm going to be all in, seeing what Ronaldo does. And I do love Luka Modric for Croatia. That's going to be a huge loss. So it is kind of a little bit of a soft spot there. It is kind of like a turning of the guards, which always sucks. It almost felt like I remember when Shaq retired. I can care less. I hate the Lakers. But when he retired, I was like, whoa, Shaq's gone. Right. That means Duncan and Garnett and all these other guys are about to be gone. It was sad, but you were already used to, at that point, the slightly younger guys, the T-Mac, whoever, and you kind of like, okay, we have these guys, but it's just not the same, So for my era, a little sad about it, but it's in good hands.
Yeah, to me, it just gives me this big feeling of like you're gonna see a lot of freaking miraculous stuff happen throughout this whole tournament. And I think like today, I don't know if you saw what happened today in the Belgium game, but Lukuka, it was that's his name, the ball dude. I think he's like number 9
I
or
didn't,
something.
I didn't, I didn't see the game.
Well, he
Oh, the
got
one. Oh, it was 1-1 though, right?
huh?
It was 1-1 though, right?
It was 1-1. Yeah, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
came into the game. They subbed him in.
Lukaku. Yeah,
Lukasu. Okay, there you go. That's how you
yeah,
pronounce
yeah,
it.
yeah. Romelu Lukaku. Yeah,
Yeah, he
former
came
Chelsea.
into the game on like the was like this. Yeah, it was a 66 minute because literally right after he came into the game, he impacted as soon as he got onto the field running towards the goal and he got a goal for them. Now it was on Egypt; they made their own goal, but it was because of him that they made their own goal, and it's just like that's like one miraculous thing that has happened, and I the whole USA thing. I think that's another miraculous thing that happened. Like who expected USA to score 4 goals in their first game? Like
No,
I don't
I
think
was
any.
hoping. I was like, if we can win 2-1 and just get out of there, even though we should win, we're favored. But
Yeah,
like that's yeah. It's funny that you bring up Lukaku. He's one of my favorite like players in the past like 15 years. Big Chelsea player. He just never gets the respect. Like he doesn't get the start. He's
right.
always
He's
an
like the number one
afterthought.
scorer in Belgium.
Like he's freaking great. Like obviously they have De Bruyne, and that's I mean that team when they had Eden Hazard. That I love that Belgian team, but right now like that's still a great team. They should easily be in the conversation. But like I said, they're not that near second tier to me because they just don't. They don't. At some point, they don't get the job done.
Yeah.
No big follow. No, they're kind of a Minnesota Timberwolves. But like they'll get there. They have the talent, but I don't know. But I don't know why that guy doesn't get the respect, and it never does. But good point. Another miracle moment
Yeah,
already early in the World Cup.
and another one today too. Cape Verde, first time they're in the World Cup tournament. Their oldest player is like 23 years old, and
Yeah.
they didn't let the best team in the tournament on paper score at all. Like, bro, that is
Yeah.
just like awesome to see, bro. And bro, I think it's just gonna go on and on the whole tournament because of this whole era ending. I think it has a lot to do with it. I think it's just like some type of magic that's just gonna go on, and I think it's gonna happen each and every day. You're gonna see something amazing happen, and it's just gonna be insanely crazy, bro. And it's awesome to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. Because you look at Saudi Arabia game, like these games are, like you said, the best of the best are losing a lot of age and a lot of talent, and the not the worst team, but the lesser teams are kind of getting a little better to the point where it's becoming USA basketball versus the
Yeah,
rest of the world. Like everyone's catching up and they're getting better. Like you're overturning your roster.
exactly.
So it is going to be interesting, and this is the perfect time for USA to strike.
Hell yeah, we need that. We need that, baby.
Hey,
Let's
hey,
go.
hey, hey.
Rig the sport, baby. Rig the sport.
Rig it, baby. Rig it. Where's Scott Foster? He needs to do some. He needs to do some World Cup games. Scott Foster's
He'll
doing the USA.
he'll do great.
He's doing the USA Portugal game.
Oh man. Hey man, appreciate you coming on, my guy. Let these people know where they can follow your stuff, listen to your stuff, man, and give out all your social medias and your content, man.
Hey, at Real CL Kid on pretty much everything. CL Kid is my artist name, but all my tags are at Real CL Kid. Just put on a new song. Tell me that you want me. You don't need to tell me that, George. That was just the name of the song. Wait for the camera to go off. But hey. But no, appreciate it. Always love coming on. Thank you for having me. Of course, it's always a good time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guys, we can follow me, GMike Media _ on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. The audio version of this podcast is available on all podcast platforms. YouTube is a video version. And if you guys are into sports gambling, I run a Telegram channel where I offer daily slips that I could get you anywhere from $25 to $50 to $100 a day while only paying $10 a month. And we have an affiliate program also where you can get more money on the side by just bringing people into the chat. You'll see
I'm gonna hype that.
Huh?
This guy's always posting the results of those things, and it's always doing well. So it just takes the test. $10. You got a whole month. Take $10. Take the chance. Copy the things. Do nothing else, and just see what you get out of it. It's definitely worth it.
Appreciate it, bro. And talking about that, like I told you, no one expected USA to get 4 goals, bro. I had seen that prop, and that shit was at plus 10,000, bro.
Whoa,
I was like,
over
you
4.
put $100. You put $100 on this.
Hey, weird combo.
Right? Like,
We in Mexico hanging out with Wemby.
yeah, right? Yeah, I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. But yeah, no one expected USA to score 4 goals.
Yeah, I would have looked at that and been like, yeah, I'll use my $10 on Chipotle.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey,
Like I had USA, and I had put this on the chat, and it's on Instagram, whatever. You guys can see it there. But I had USA to win, and it was plus 100. So if you guys don't know gambling, sports gambling, plus 100 just doubles your money. So $50 will turn into 100, $100 turn into 200, $1,000 turn into 2,000. So
plus 100 on the USA win.
it was easy.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's not just that's the thing. It's the bonus, just to point out for everybody else. It's not just, oh, I understand sports or blah blah blah. It's also looking for the right bets, understanding where the bets are, timing the right bets. Not because you wait till the last minute, it's a different bet than you would have a day ago. Understanding the market for betting, and that's the big difference. I can teach you through here how to trade stocks, how to read charts, how to do all that kind of stuff. But it is solely about the timing and knowing where to look and when to look. And that's what he's great at, not just understanding the game. He can know less about soccer than I do and spot better bets than I do. So,
Hey,
that's the talent.
It's facts. And the other thing is like a lot of people want to get into sports gambling because it's been such a big arouse for the last few years already because of the fact that they now made it legal so you can do it online, like DraftKings, a FanDuel, and then in Florida it's Hard Rock because they have a whole law behind it. But there's people that want to bet, but they don't know how to or don't know what to put the money on. So you come into the chat, follow the bets, and it trickles.
Yeah.
Feel me?
Yeah. That's $10 worth the risk.
Exactly. $10 1 month. You see what's up. You make $100 in one day, you're already up 90.
Yeah, you pay for the rest of the year, you're done.
Exactly.
Go from there.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate it, my guy. You already know I'll have you back on later on. We got more World Cup. We got MLB. We got football season's going to be coming around soon. Training camp is about to be coming up. College football.
Giannis to the Celtics.
Next time you come on, we'll see if Giannis went to the Heat or went to the Celtics. Honestly,
it's only us. One of us.
Honestly, I don't want to say what I think is going to happen. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But I'm just going to say Jaylen Brown is a better player than Tyler Hero. That's all I'm going to say.
Tyler Hero's brother posted a picture. You never know. Tyler Hero, Milwaukee.
I'm trying to stay level out. I can't with these rumors no more.
Yeah, one day out of the season, the playoff, and we're already itching for next year.
All right, guys. Peace.